So hey there fellow YouTubers, it's Frank Bush here again. So it's Father's Day. I'm doing a pretty casual video today. I've been really busy lately, but I thought I'd do a quick video. I had my girl step out for a little bit and give me a window of time here, so I'm just going to take a cigarette lighter 12 volts water element, set that into a coffee cup, plug it into a 12 volt cigarette lighter socket. I've got two of them, so I'll put another one in, plug that in, just running that directly off the solar. So I'm hoping to have this come up to a boil in about 5 minutes. You know, my objective here was to see if I could have a hot cup of coffee in almost the same amount of time it would take to microwave the water to achieve the same result. So I've got my tablet charging. I've got a nice sunny day today. It's full sun, so my array's performing quite well. At this point in time, I've got a 400 watt heater, my television, my Roku, and an internet modem, all running directly off the solar panels, and I can run those straight without even touching the battery's you know, amperage draw at all, if you will. And when I plug in these, one of them is hooked off to my crate build that I showed in previous videos, and another one is hooked off to my little simple solar setup that I showed in a previous video as well, and see if I can just kind of heat this water as quickly as possible. So I won't do the whole 5-6 minutes of showing it come to a full boil or anything, but I will kind of stop and talk about future videos I plan on doing. I've got a few different projects that I have coming down the pipe. I just really haven't had a lot of free time, but in this video I'll show the upgrades that I did to the solar array and kind of talk about those lightly. I'll talk about future coming videos that I plan on doing, and then I'll wrap it up because, like I say, my kids will be back in a few minutes and it's Father's Day and I just had a little window of time. So first order of business, I'll shift to the camera angle here just so you could see that these little water elements producing good heat. It's only been about 4 or 5 minutes and the water's already hot enough to the point where it's easily usable for a coffee. It was potable water to begin with, just came out of my sink, but just wanted to show you that you know, you don't necessarily have to have a microwave to get a cup of water to a boil in you know, less than 10 minutes. And in fact, this method I find to be faster than using the stove element because it has to come up to temperature and everything else, whereas these are really rapid at that. And these are just simple, like I say, little elements that are connected onto a 12 volts cigarette lighter adapter. You know, nothing complex here, really simple stuff, basic, cheap, bought off eBay. And I'll put links in the description. I try to put links of all the different things I do into the description, and I'm affiliated in those, so you know, if you guys click through and pick one up for yourself, I see a gain out of that. So I just thought I'd disclose that information. But I'll stop here and I'll kind of shift angles again and make my coffee and should walk through the things I'm powering and that kind of stuff straight off the solar. Yeah. And then, like I say, this only took 4 or 5 minutes to bring that from, you know, cold out of the tap water up to hot enough to be a good hot coffee. Nothing fancy here. And a lot of this is really under the premise of, you know, powering a microwave can take a larger investment when it comes to things like inverters when you're dealing with solar stuff. You know, because a microwave is AC powered and consumes a significant amount of watts, it makes it that you know, there's a price point of entering into that level of technology. You know, in the crate build that I did, I showed using a 1000 watt inverter, and that's really good. Let me just take a sip of this, hold on. It's really good at powering things like televisions, small appliances. You know, when it comes to running things to the degree of a microwave, normally you have to step your inverter up to at least a 2000 watt inverter, generally speaking, to make sure you can run even the more powerful microwaves. But, you know, when you're off grid and you're wanting to use small amounts of power, you know, and you don't want to have the investment of a large scale, you know, solar inverter and that type of thing, you know, running these little 12 volt appliances, to give you an idea, it takes about 40 watts of energy to heat this up, you know, 40 watt hours, if you will, to heat this cup up. You know, and that's pretty generally speaking what I've found across the board. You know, when you're doing it off the 12 volt, They may take an extra 2 or 3 minutes to get that water up to temperature, but when you compare it to the amount of power that's being used out of the microwave, you know, the convenience of the microwave is really the volume of heat energy that it's going to put into something like a cup of coffee. Here, let me take another sip. You know, and that's really what gives you the speed of a microwave. But using these little 12-volt appliances, if you want to kind of have a more conservative budget, you can easily turn around and bring this up to a boil in, say, 10 minutes running off of 2 of those, as I just showed in the example. You know, and that costs, what, 15 bucks maybe for those little cigarette lighter adapter plugins. They're dirt cheap. Whereas buying a 2000 watt inverter might run you 300, 400, 500 bucks for a half decent one that's like a pure sine wave and that type of thing. But either way, you're using the same amount of electricity when it comes to how much energy you put into this to get it out. But the good part about running these low powered 12-volt devices, like I say, is really the gentleness that they put on the load. You know, running a microwave, you're going to end up pulling tons of amps, whereas running something like this, you know, the 2 of those, they're about 10 amps each. So, you know, you're only hitting the 20 amp load against your battery stack. So it's really far gentler on them, you know. But I'll shift gears again and I'll walk through some of the stuff I'm powering directly from the sun right now. Like I say, it's, even though the solar panels are producing enough to power all my devices in my living room, they're also throwing a charge into the battery at the same time. So I'll show you that as we go on to the next scene, yeah? Okay, so I just thought I'd kind of walk through the stuff that I'm running live off the solar right now and kind of show you. So right now I'm still taking in 4.4 amps as a charge to the battery, but at the same time that I'm taking that in and kind of charging the batteries up, I'm also charging up my tablet right now. There's 48 minutes or so left, and then I'm running this 400 watt heater here. And then I'm running, like I say, a modem that I've got running, and I've turned the volume down on the television, but get the TV running, and my Roku. And all those devices are running straight off my solar array that I got out in the backyard. And like I say, charging at the same time. So it's coming in at 13.3 volts and 4.3 amps. So if I killed everything back, I'd be producing well over 500 watts worth of power right now. But just to show you that, you know, in the daytimes, if you're producing good power and you've got a decent sized solar array, that you can easily run your devices in your house in the day hours directly from the solar at the same time as the batteries are charging for nighttime use. And this is the crate build that I've shown in previous videos. I've been using this to run my living room pretty well 99 days out of 100 so far, kind of thing, where I haven't had to run off the wall at all. I've got this AC transfer switch, which I've also showed in previous videos, but it hasn't really had the need to kick over to running off of grid power, you know, and pull from that supply. And I'm seeing substantial gains in my electrical bills. And then, like I say, I've got the 12 volt cigarette lighter feed, and then I've got the one coming off the crate, and that's what I use to kind of warm up my coffee earlier in the video. But I'll step outside, and but I did just want to kind of stop and show you guys that, yeah, it's pretty sweet, man. Being able to run my entire living room and still being able to charge the batteries at the same time, and the gain of it is really okay. I might have to add on another one of these charge controllers as time goes on if I wanted to kind of expand the array, but the array size I have right now is amply enough to power everything I'm running in my living room, and that it's really a sweet setup. So I'll switch over, I'll go into the backyard, throw this camera on a tripod, and show you that the new array setup and my kind of thoughts of things, and then I'll talk about what I plan on doing in future videos as I go. Alright, well, if you watch previous videos of mine, you'll see that I added another 100 watt panel onto this array. And right now I've got my 175 watt flexible solar panel wired into this as well. It allows me to reach, you know, at peak by the tech spec rating, 875 watts. And I find when running through the different combination of charge controllers that I have on here, some of them are PWM and some are MPPT charge controllers, depending on which array that I've got plugged in. It's creating an efficiency at about 78%. So right now, with full sun at peak, I'm producing over 675 watts, watts per hour, if you will. Now, that's kind of my ideal production at this point in time. I could possibly increase the efficiency if these two panels that are sitting on the bottom here, if I switched over the PWM charge controllers that they're running on and wired it into an MPPT charge controller as well. But I don't think I would see that large of a performance gain, really, given this setup. You get to a point where when you're dealing with arrays of solar panels and that kind of stuff, the MPPT charge controllers are normally fairly pricey units, and solar panels are becoming so inexpensive now, it's almost worth just adding on another solar panel to your array than it is to switch over for the efficiency gains that you're going to get off of the solar charge controllers. The most important thing about the charge controller is, can it handle the amps that you're throwing at it? That's really one of the critical things. And when you start to get up into 60 amp or 100 amp charge controllers, they can start to get really pricey. So it's half a dozen to one, kind of mindset of how you want to build out your system as you go through time. But I'll stop here. I'll show the wiring for the 3 panels that I have along the top here, and how I've kind of connected them to feed all together into the solar array. And then I'll start talking about different projects I got coming down the pipeline I want to do in the future. Like I say, this video is really a Father's Day kind of casual video. My kids ran out to the store and gave me a few minutes to kind of do this off. So, I don't know how much more time I'll have, if you will, but I'll touch base about future projects for sure. So this is the back of the 3-panel array I've got sitting on the top level, and you'll see there's kind of a 3-way combiner here, and it's really 3 MC4 connections that come in on the lines, and they're all connected in parallel to each other. And that way, as the sun comes, the sun normally shines on this panel over here first, and then hits this one and then that one. And because they're wired in parallel the way they are, I can get the 5 amps coming off this. When this one lights up, it'll jump up to 10. When this one lights up, it'll jump up to 15, but this one doesn't normally come in and get good power for another couple hours later. So by wiring them in parallel like I have, it allows it where, as long as the voltage across these is equal, the amps coming through doesn't drop. You got to be mindful of how you wire up your solar panels, where for my location I have to take shading into account. So quite often this panel, like I say, will be shaded. I want to have these 2 panels running and producing as much amperage when they're in full light as I can, even if that one's not producing. Because it's still in the shadow of the building, if you will. But if I wired those together in series instead of in parallel, as soon as light shone on this panel, but it wasn't on this one, I wouldn't see the power production that I am. The amps and volts and stuff, they just don't produce the same when you're connecting in series. Connecting in parallel is better to know that each panel kind of performs independently and supplies the power down the line. The one downside of that is you're normally working in higher amperages when you do that, and the wiring costs can become a little more expensive. So, but I just thought I'd stop and show you guys that. Like I say, normally with a flexible solar panel, I pop that on and detach it, depending on the weekends or, what the weather's like and how full my batteries are and stuff. Normally the 7 panels that I showed in the previous kind of angle, if you will, those are the core panels that really keep this living room powered. I just want to have it where I'm charging and I'm running everything on the weekend, so I plug in the additional flexible, and it's really lightweight and easy, so it makes it easy for me to just pop it on and off. But I'll shift gears here. I'll talk about kind of future coming videos and the things I plan on doing, and then I'll cut it because I'm sure the kids will be home soon. Okay, so I just dropped that heater and turned the television off, and just show you guys let's see here. I'm almost full battery, 13.5 volts. See, I'm producing over 40 amps right now, and I'm still running the Roku and the internet modem because they just stay powered on 24/7. Plus, the inverter takes a draw of power as well, you know, when it's even sitting idle. But yeah, so to touch base about future projects, so there's definitely a few things I want to do. I've got some solar thermal stuff using, you know, solar cooker technology and vacuum tubes and that type of stuff. I've got future videos coming of that. And I've got a different kind of solar video coming as well, where that video is going to involve doing solar thermal to retrofit my house in the fall to kind of offset my heating costs by generating heat in my home using solar energy. But I'm doing it in a definitely unconventional way in that regards. I do plan on doing an that solar thermal video I'll probably be putting out closer to the fall. I've got all the equipment to do it, but given that it's summertime and there's not, you know, lots of heat being generated by the sun in the house and stuff, there's no reason for me to kind of build that out and show it at this point in time. But the thinking really is when we move into the fall and the temperatures start to drop, I'll do that install into my home and show that stuff. And hopefully you guys, if you're wanting to offset some of your heating costs in your home and you don't want to make it a super expensive prospect, I think I've got a good solution to help do that. We'll see as time goes on. But there's definitely other projects for the urban survival videos. I definitely want to do another urban survival video in the near future. I know there's been quite a few viewers on my site have left comments about, you know, it's been almost a year since I've done the last one, can I do another one, and that type of thing. And I definitely have that as part of the pipeline agenda. To be quite honest, I have full custody of my kids at this point in time, and so having the free time to be able to go off and do those videos is a little more difficult. But I think I've got a plan worked out for the urban survival video to put one out in the very near future. Hopefully in the next like 2-3 weeks, if I'm lucky. We'll really see how my time availability is. And when it comes to bushcraft videos, I do have a full agenda of doing another bushcraft video in the near future. That I know has been a little while since I've published one of those, but definitely want to get out into the woods. It's been a long time. I've really been prepping. I have concerns about the economy and how things are going, so I've been kind of doing a lot of food pantry preps and those types of things, and equipment storage, you know, just stuff around the home more or less. And haven't really gotten out as much. But one of the funner projects in a future video I want to do, and hopefully that's in the near future as well, is I want to do a solar powered microwave out of the back of my truck and see if I can't use that when I go camping. So, you know, I've got a few parts still left coming in the mail before I can kind of assemble that and get it rolling, but that's definitely one of the near term projects that are coming. So if you like this channel, you know, there's definitely lots of new content coming in the near future. I know I haven't put out a new video in the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's really just been busy on my end, but I definitely have lots of different projects in the pipe that I want to show you guys. And so if you enjoy this type of content, please like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Cheers.